Welcome, everybody. Welcome to HPA. Welcome to Hawaii. We're so excited to have all of you international families with us. This session, just so you know, we are recording this session as well, and an email link will be sent to all international families. So if I say something too quickly, or you forget something that you might want to look up later, you'll be able to check out that email and see this at your leisure. So my name is Jeff Mix, Mr. Mix to the students. I'm the International Student Coordinator, and I teach English language in ELL at HPA. So the purpose of this little talk mainly is to introduce you to me and to some of the resources that are available for international students. I hope that you leave here today feeling a little better about leaving your beautiful child with us, to know that they're going to be taken care of. There are resources for them, and they can access those resources. They can get help really any time that they need, day or night, okay? So I do a few different things at ELL. You can see there, I'm in the English department. I teach a sophomore level English class. I teach a few different English language learning classes, along with my co-worker, Mrs. Scarth, who's sitting there. Hey, Robin. I'll bring her up in a little bit. I live on campus. I live in the teacher cottages, so I'm right here on campus, available to students, you know, like I said, day or night. I have my wife, and I have two little girls. I have a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old little girl, and we're happily living on campus here. Yeah, I work at Robertson Dorm, so I am part of the dorm faculty, and I know that world. I know what goes on in res life pretty well by this point, as it is my 8th year here, so I've been around enough to know the nuances and what's hard and what's great about this place. Yeah, I'm formerly, before a teacher, I was a journalist and author with lots of writing and all of that background, which I'll talk a little about later. I am a language learner myself. I've lived in a few different countries, and I've worked on learning a few different languages, and I know how incredibly hard and frustrating it is, right? And so I've been there. I've done that myself, and that might not be the case with every teacher here, but myself, and I know Mrs. Scarth as well, we've gone through this process of immersing ourselves in another culture, in another language. And I know how stressful it can be, how tiring it can be, how exhausted you are at the end of the day. So I think we definitely, in our ELL department for sure, we have a lot of empathy for what your children will be going through. So again, I think that helps when they know that they're not alone and people really understand their struggles. Yeah, like I said, I teach English 10 in ELL. I'm the International Student Coordinator, and I have the best after-school sport, beach workout, where we go down to Hapuna Beach 4 days a week, and we exercise in the sand, do circuit training, and run on the beach and swim and splash and play in the water. It's a pretty cool, deal. And then the students come back up the hill to campus all smiles and happy at the end of the day, getting into that ocean. So yeah, again, it's a good place to live, good place to work. So I wanted to let you know who I am in greater detail. Besides being a teacher and the International Student Coordinator, I was once a little boy, and a little boy living in this little farm town. This is called Spangle, Washington, in Washington State. A little 300-person farm town. Grew up, driving truck and driving combine and doing all those farming things. And I loved it for some reasons, but I couldn't wait to get out of that little farm town and explore the world, right? Which is what I did as soon as I could. I've lived in Seattle, Washington, a good chunk of my adult life. Love it. Just went there this summer. I've lived in Florence, Italy, and that's one of the languages that I've been learning as well. I lived there for about 4 years. This is still some of my best friends and some of my favorite people are here, and I get back as much as I can. I've lived in Guatemala, and where I taught English at an orphanage. And I've lived in Laos, where I worked as a journalist and an author, working on some writing projects in the country of Laos. And now we're here with my family. I don't live in so many places anymore. I live in one place, and I don't travel as much as probably I'd like to. Part of that's the pandemic. But we really love it here. It's a beautiful place to raise a family. It's a beautiful place to go to school. We never run out of adventures here. Okay, so specifically, what does it mean, International Student Coordinator? For anybody who needs it, any international student who needs it, I'm here for them. I can help them with their classes. They're fixing their class schedule if there's a problem with their schedule. After-school sports, activities, anything in the dorm, helping them with getting on to weekend activities, sign-ups, all of the things that we do here. If they're struggling with any of that, I can help them. I'm also kind of a go-between, a middleman in a lot of ways. So I'll work with teachers, with advisors, with our counselors, college counselors and guidance counselors, with our sports teams and coaches, with the dorm faculty and the dorm heads. And so students know that they can come to me if they're having a problem in any of those arenas, and then I can either help them myself or I can point them to the person who will most likely help them. Maybe it's the registrar or college counselor, whoever that is. I will get them in contact with that person and get them on the right track. So there's ways to help with homework. We have some tutoring available and study sessions, and the Learning Center if it's necessary. So, and then with you, parent communication. I'll be communicating with a lot of you throughout the year, and I like to communicate if there's something going on that we need to work with, or if it's a positive, right? If they're just doing really well, and we want to talk about that. So I'll be communicating with you, and hopefully, at the end of this, you feel comfortable communicating with me as well. So I can be that person for you. If you're not sure who to contact me. So tomorrow, I think at 11 o'clock, I have the International Student Orientation. So I'll be doing something similar with all of the international students tomorrow. And it's going to be a little more involved and a little longer than this session because there's some specifics that we go over pertaining to HPA. But a big thing that most, if not all, international students especially are going to be going through is some of this, culture shock and homesickness. So I wanted to give you kind of a brief overview of some of what we're going to talk about tomorrow, just so that when they're dealing with it and you're FaceTiming with them or you're on the phone with them, you kind of know where we're coming from as far as this goes. Because this is it's hard. It's hard to move to a new place, to start into a new culture, a new style of education. Obviously, you signed up for this and you signed your child up for this because you want them to experience, right, all of these differences so that they can become more independent, so that they can have these adventures that they just wouldn't have back home or have a different style of learning that they wouldn't have back home. But as you see the list here, with all of these come challenges, right? Okay, so how are we going to help your children and our students cope with some of this and deal with some of these problems? We really encourage them to be patient. I think a lot of the time, the worst part of it is that first month, right? Their first month here. That's when everything, first it's great and you're meeting all these new people and new friends, but then pretty quickly, right, that honeymoon phase, it's over. And then you're in it. You're dealing with homework every day, and it's hard in a second or third language, or you're having trouble with the rules that we have in place, right? Because they're different than the rules we have back home. Maybe the food is not the same, and they start to miss, right? Rightfully so. But just be patient and know that it will get better. I've done this 8 years now. And it's always a struggle in the beginning, but those students who struggled most, even the ones who had the hardest time, by the time we're at the end of that first semester, they're usually loving life. And I see them out smiling and laughing and having a great time and understanding the system and understanding teacher expectations. So just give it time, be patient. We don't need to really overreact in the beginning but we'll be there for them. We'll listen, we'll help them, but be patient. And we encourage them to be involved, find something every week that they can grab onto, whether that's a sport, one of the weekend trips we have available, meeting a new friend, something going on campus, like the fire pit or a movie in GPAC. Like find that something every week that you're grabbing onto and participate. So what we don't want are our students to sit in their dorm rooms, right? Kind of hiding away, tucked away, playing video games all weekend long. We don't want that. Video game every now and again, but not all weekend. We want them out in the dorm commons, right, where people gather, and then we'll be starting off the year going on excursions. This Thursday, we're going to take everybody out on the island, so they'll at least get started, and then from there we'll have activities every Friday, Saturday, Sunday that they can hop onto. They can, in their classes, in their advisories, are going to be making friendships with the day students, right? And that's another nice way too. Day students can sign them out with your permission for the weekend, and then they can go stay in a home here and they can do weekend activities with that family. But yeah, get involved. That's the big thing. And remember your goals, right? Whether your goal is to be here for 4 years and graduate and go to a great college, right? Remember that. That's the point. So dive into that. Work hard, have fun, or maybe you're just here for a semester or a year. Either way, right? Take advantage of these opportunities that we offer, and we offer a lot of opportunities: sports, activities, music, garden. Really get after it. Honor what the teacher's asking from you, because the more you work at that class, the more you're going to get out of that class. More? Yes, stay organized. Students who struggle with organizations tend to struggle in general. So we do a lot of work on the organization side of things, but the more that they can help themselves, the better. It's a great adventure that they're going to have here. So see that adventure, be a part of it, and just know it's not going to be perfect, right? There's no such thing. So problems are going to happen. You're going to have an issue with your roommate sometimes. You're going to have some social problems maybe, or a problem in the classroom, or a problem with the teacher. And that's okay. That's normal, right? It's not going to all be perfect. And then again, kind of the culture here is that we want questions. We want students to advocate for themselves. So we want students to speak up. We want parents to speak up. If a student's having a really hard time, we really hope there's somebody. If it's not me, it's somebody, a teacher, an advisor, a counselor, that they feel comfortable with, even a dorm prefect, another student. But we want them to ask. If they're really struggling, we need to know that so we can help them. So encourage your child if they're struggling. Did you talk to anybody? Did you talk to Mr. Mix? Did you, right? And then we can start working on a solution to that problem. And then, I really believe in this, that their health, their wellness is so important, so balance, right? We need a healthy balance of nutrition, of sleep, exercise, school life balance in general, right? So I believe our system is set up to allow for that. That's why we have certain bedtimes that we have, right? Lights out at this time. We'd like you to put your electronics away at night, that sort of thing. Make sure you're not just going over and only eating rice at lunch, right? Get some fruits, get some vegetables. And there's training on this. Throughout the year, we're going to have sessions in the dorm, in meetings like this in GPAC, where they're going to have some training on how to be the healthiest version that they can be. Okay, so again, like I mentioned in the beginning, we want you to feel supported, and we want your child to feel really supported here. And this is not a complete list of everybody that is there, ready, willing, wanting to help when there's an issue, okay? So me, of course, students, they'll know after tomorrow's meeting that I have with them that they can come to me anytime for anything, and I will be always ready to help them. My classroom or my email, shoot me an email or stop by anytime in between classes or during lunch or whatever, and I'm there. I'm there for them. And a lot of times my classroom in Castle Lecture Halls ends up being kind of a gathering place for some international students, so that's nice to always have a place where they feel safe. We have a wonderful director of residential life. I don't know if you've met him yet, but you will, I imagine, shortly. Mr. Hamilton Ford and Miss Liz Watson right here. And they're fantastic in their roles in keeping our students organized and supported, and they're always there. Our counselors are wonderful human beings and really good at what they do. our guidance counselors, Mr. Furchner and Mrs. Freitas. That counseling center, as I'm sure you'll see on your tours, it's right behind the dining hall. Students can pop in there anytime. They can email, or they can just stop by if they're struggling with anything at all. HPA nursing staff, so physical, emotional, anything like that, the nurses do come by the dorms every night. So if they're having anything from a stubbed toe to headaches, whatever it is, they're ready to support them. And they're there on the weekends as well. And we have an on-call nurse 24 hours a day, so that we're always ready, whatever's going on. And then every student, and I think you might know this by now, but every student has their own advisor, and that's their small group they're going to be teamed up with their whole year, or their whole 4 years, right? That group moves together. So that's going to be Monday and Fridays around lunchtime that they'll meet with their advisory group. And that advisor is somebody who knows everything about their lives. They know what's going on in all their classes. They know what's going on after school sports or activities, if they're a dorm student. So that's always a wonderful person to contact as well, because they oversee a little bit of everything. They're teachers. If you have a class-specific question, or the students have, the dorm faculty and the dorm heads, of course. All of these people are there for them, ready to help them. Thank you. Okay, so we want to not just take your beautiful children and say, okay, bye, have a good year. We want you to be involved in this process. So I would like everyone in here to feel comfortable partnering with me. Think of me as a partner in this journey. So communicate. If you're not sure who to talk to about class registration or this thing on the weekend or turtle tagging or whatever, you can always contact me, okay? So think of me as like that person. I can send you to who you need to get to, right? So if you know who you want to contact, great, go ahead and contact them. But if you're not sure, just contact me and I'll send you in the right direction, okay? And as far as you're concerned, of course, be supportive. Listen to your children when they're struggling, when they're happy. Be there for them, hear them, communicate openly with them. You also don't have to feel like you have to solve every single problem that might come up in the dorms or in their classes, right? We're here and we have a system in place for that, but certainly feel free to connect with us about that, and then we can determine what's the best course. But there's going to be things that come up throughout the year, and it's okay for them to struggle sometimes. That's okay, right? That's growth, right? To work through that pain, to have a tough conversation with a roommate that maybe a dorm faculty member helps with, right? There's growth in that, and there's independence in that. So we don't want to just give them what they want because they're struggling, but at some point, if the struggle is too much, or if it's a really big problem, changes might have to be made, and we can deal with that as it comes. So yeah, please communicate with me, communicate with any of us here at HPA. We love questions, and we love working on anything that's going to help make this the best year for your child. This is my contact. You can email me anytime, jmix@hpa.edu. That's all I have. So thank you. I mean, most of all, thank you, right? Like, it's great that you can meet me and know that I'm a resource for you, but thank you. Like, you're investing in us, you're trusting in us, and we really want to honor that and give them the best year or multiple years that they can have here. So thank you. I appreciate it.